Hello and welcome to race 1 of round 1 of the Spec7 racing series. It is a one-make series using the RX-7s. If you'd like to find out more about the series or how to join, then you can find all the information over on my website, www.charlieroscoe.com. So jump over and have a bit of a read of that. But for now, it is time to go to race. So as we take a look down the qualifying starting positions, in first place we have Speedy Chicken, followed by Skater, myself in third, Nielsen fourth, then we have Willie in 5th, Moldovich 6th, Beepar in 7th position, Hippie Heat in 8th, DJ Brain coming in at 9th, Piosco rounding out the top 10, followed by Staniel, Risky Devil, Mojo in 13th, Ryan in 14th, B Cotton in 15th, and Clokey rounding out the grid in 16th position. And we are away, race 1, round 1. Let's see how this goes. Is there any major incidents coming into the first turn? Speedy Chicken gets a very, very good start off the front row, front position, in fact, of the grid. Here we go. So as we follow Beepar through the pack, obviously it's all pretty tight, pretty close at the moment. We're going to flick through. We're on Moldovich now. It looks like he's up the inside a little bit. He's taken a little bit of grass. He's found himself on the outside. It's always difficult to squeeze the power on, and he has gone around there and looked unassisted. It looked like he just got a little bit too much throttle, and it spat the back of the car around, which is unfortunate. But there's so much action going on. We're going to keep up now. We are watching plenty of action back to the 6th, 7th, and 8th. Are all scrapping at it. Risky Devil there as well, trying to get amongst it. And in fact, it looks like Hippie might be trying to go. Hippie Head might be trying to go up the inside of Risky Devil. Hasn't pulled it off and will tuck in for the long straight. These RX-7s don't spit out a lot of slipstream drafting. It's not particularly strong. Here at this track, we are a little bit wide here for B Cotton, but he will gather it up. It does sort of give you the opportunity to square the corner up a little bit as you fire it out of the last turn. It's a unique turn where you kind of, there's a few different lines you can take, which pretty much can equal the same sort of speed across the line, which is what counts. But it looks like Risky Devil is starting to pile the pressure on to B Cotton now, so it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. He actually has got a little bit sideways there, lost control, hit the grass. It spat the back end around, but he's managed to get good drive nonetheless. So Risky Devil wasn't able to take advantage of that. Hippie scrapping pretty hard back there as well. As we continue to see this battle, is Risky Devil going to take the risk and go up the inside? Yes, he will. And it looks like a very good clean pass he's made there. So as we slide a little bit further up the pack, I found myself here in 5th position. And watching Beepar, we've got Nielsen in 3rd. So it's all pretty close actually. We've got a couple of groups starting to form around that 6th, 7th, 8th, that sort of area there. But we've also got the top couple, and Beepar is going to go the dive onto Nielsen, and he's pulled it off, but he's run a little bit wide, stuffed it back up the inside. A quick exchange there, the old over and under from both of them, and the battle is not yet over. They're side by side coming through this section here into, no, it looks like Beepar's going to have the inside line for the corner, maybe a little bit of contact there, and around Nielsen goes. That wasn't an aided spin by the looks of that. Unfortunately, he got out a bit wide, probably got on the throttle just a bit too hard, much like the incident we saw earlier, and around he went. Always a bit unfortunate. And that has actually just gapped out that top 4 or 5 a little bit. Speedy Chicken obviously has disappeared somewhat into the distance, although having said that, Skater's not falling too far behind at this stage, but just a bit of an even gap there from sort of 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. So we'll jump back a little bit further in the pack and find out what's happening here as we jump on board. Moldovich obviously had that early race spin, and look, he's coming up behind Piosco, comes in quite hot there, runs wide. As I say, there's a couple of different lines here. It'll be interesting to see if he loses any drive, and he really doesn't, so he went a lot wider park there. But as we duck up a little bit further to 8th, Nielsen there, it looks like DJ Brain and Ryan, actually Lethal, getting awfully tight, scrapping it out pretty hard. And one of the unique liveries there by DJ Brain, he's made his own for the race, which is it's not a bad looking little livery actually. It's got the Vegemite, it's got all the themes on it, which you love to see. But at the moment, one thing Ryan doesn't want to see is him in his rearview mirrors. And actually, Ryan's run very wide there, just missed his braking marker. DJ Brain gets the inside, but a lot of power on the exit of the corner. has just resulted in a bit of oversteer. So they're going to go side by side down the straight. Who's going to be the latest of late breakers? I think DJ Brain's pretty much got this position now, but of course it's easy to run wide here, but he's done enough. He planted that car in the middle of the corner, became a very difficult roadblock to get past, and actually it looks like Nielsen now is going to have it. He's got a good run out of that final turn, down the front straight on Lethal, and ultimately he's got track position. Not a great deal Ryan can do there. He stayed outside. A good clean move by Nielsen, and yeah, nothing Lethal could do except for yield that position up. But you get that on the big jobs, and the battle here from 6th all the way back to 10th has actually tightened right up, which is great to see. So it might be a little bit further back in the pack, but it's a solid group, and this is what you want. The whole series, everything's about running close. Actually, Ryan very wide there, got out on the grass. That's ruined his drive. And I think Piasco actually approached him a lot quicker than he would have liked to. Gave him a little love tap on the way through. But nonetheless, it looks like Ryan either backed off or just lost a bit of drive or what have you, because he's actually given up that 9th spot to Moldovic as well. So not a great lap slash exchange there for Ryan. He got beat up a little bit through that section. He's actually dropped all the way back in that middle pack to 10th. So it'll be good to see if we can sort of keep it together. Piasco looks like in 8th there. He's ready to put the hammer down and try and catch up to 6th and 7th. The whole field's not really spread out too much. But as we jump back forward to the top 5, you can see there the gap is still fairly even. We're all sort of together all the way through. Skater, Bpar, myself and Bilson are together in a pack per se, but it's not a tight fighting pack. We're all sort of within about a second of each other, probably less. We're probably talking 5 to 8 tenths per car, so it's just sort of reached that mutual speed, and you can see Speedy actually hasn't disappeared off too much into the distance, which is always good. What you don't want to see is first place or any position really just absolutely bolting away and creating that sort of that gap too early on in the piece. But nonetheless, he does look like he's doing it fairly comfortably, most likely preserving tyres and fuel, and that's something we're going to have to think about. It's only lap 7. I reckon we're talking about probably lap 9 or 10 is when people are going to come in. So it is a 20-minute race. You can see the light times on the side there, sort of 1 minute 1 seconds, and actually I've got the over and under there on Bpar, so I fought hard, but Bpar still got that track position. And I've just sort of, I've cut him off there. I had enough of a gap in front, so I've just cut back in front of him, but fighting back very hard. Here we go. He's got the outside line. This is going to be hard to take, but as we've seen previously, he can do a bit of an over and under, although he went to do it and Bilson was parked right where he wanted to put his car to do the over and under to get the launch, and in fact, he has been able to hold it. So Bilson, even though he got that even run, they were side by side, because Bpar did get that better launch out of the corner, he wasn't able to shoot up the inside of myself. But Willie's still trying very hard here. He's he got a decent run. Can he do the dive under brakes? It looks like he's thinking about it. Bpar out wide. In fact, he's gone too wide out on the marbles, ran out of grip, and there wasn't much he could do there. Willie was easily able to just glide and slide on through into 4th position. So yeah, as we approach the first round of pit stops, that group of 5, I was just saying before, we sort of had an even gap where no one was really catching anyone else. We were just there or thereabouts, and in fact, it's all sort of had a bit of a position swap. Bpar, unfortunately, has found himself down a couple of spots, and it's tightened up. But you can see the battle raging back here to round out the top 10 hasn't actually gotten any worse. They are still quite close together, although it looks like just punching through a little bit of lap traffic might have separated them out just a fraction. So Willie actually trying very hard to get in front of me at this point. He had a lot more pace. You can see his lap times on the right, keeping really consistent pace, just punching out 101s, followed by 102s, and he's actually got a lot more pace than me. Went up the inside there. I've just braked late enough to hold my line, cut in, obviously trying to be very careful, always looking for that nice clean exchange, which we were able to do in this case, which was very good to see. But he's certainly hounding me, and in fact Bpar hounding him so much he nearly gave him a love tap on the way into the corner there. So I'm probably a bit of a cork in the bottle at this point. I've just dropped off the back of Skater, possibly struggling a little bit with tyres. If memory serves me, I think as the tyres were going off, and I was trying to preserve fuel a bit as well, a couple of short shifts and such, and I just kind of backed the pack up, although Skater's now doing the same. So what it has done is, as we approach the first round of pit stops, it's tightened the group up, but the first person to pull the trigger, Speedy Chicken, has already gone past the pits, and it is in fact going to be Willie that dives in the pits to take the very first pit stop of the race, or the first person to go into the pits. But this is about the window that you're looking at. It's about the 9th or 10th lap. Somewhere around there you're going to want to do it. You could break it in half. There's just no point in racing on too long, because it's ultimately going to affect your tyres, and if you're out there on worn tyres and someone's out there on fresh, they're going to get the undercut. So you've got to try and find that nice balance. You can see DJ Brain also diving into the pits, have the same sort of idea. So it does make a difference. The tyre life, the fact that these guys came in first, means that at the end of the race their tyres are going to have that one more lap. It is 8 times tyre wear on this in this particular race. So tyres do wear fairly quickly, and one lap, even at a small 1 minute circuit like this, one lap on a set of tyres can make a fairly big difference, especially at the end of their life. But as we come round to complete lap 10, Speedy Chicken, the leader of the race, has finally ducked into the pits, and in fact he was followed in by just about everyone there that didn't pit, with Willie, which is myself, B-Par, Skater, Nielsen's in the pits as well. So this is when a lot of the field is diving in. I think really in terms of strategy, there's only probably 3 legitimate laps you would do it, and that is lap 9 where Willie did it, lap 10 here, and possibly the lap after. So we're looking at, as I say, it's a 20-minute race, so we're looking at about that 18, 19 laps to complete the race. So yeah, around about the halfway point. This is maybe a little bit further, so there could be advantage here to Willie, because it means he's got nice fresh tyres at the moment. It's going to be interesting, but you can see he didn't quite jump me in the pits. That was his opportunity, but ironically we've come out in exactly the same order we were. So we even though Willie pitted the lap before B-Par and myself, we went in together as a group, and we've come out exactly as we were. So ultimately it didn't actually make any difference. It can do. It might have given Willie the undercut to come out on fresh tyres, push very, very hard. He could have actually jumped myself, but unfortunately he didn't. And Nielsen still leading the race at this point, the last person probably to pit. I think most people are going in the pits. There might have been a few further back in the pack, but yeah, this battle for 4th position between 3 people is going to continue on a little bit further. As you can see, Nielsen has now dived in the pits. Speedy has been able to take over that first position. Skater in 2nd position. A bit of a gap in front of me to Skater there. You can see he's probably got at least half of the front straight. So a fairly significant gap, and B-Par's getting pretty racy at the moment. See if I'm not sure if I was the cork in the bottle at this point, or if this was just the pace I was setting. B-Par certainly looks racy. Looks like he's pretty ready and happy to sling one up the inside of Willie if he gets half an opportunity to, although getting very loose there, and that's definitely going to affect his time. Probably going to drop back just a little bit. You can see he's probably just dropped 2 or 3 car lengths there to go back. But as we go further back in the field, catch up how we're going here. Hippie back in 12th place, and we've got some pretty mad lag spike there, so that's always fun to watch, just cars sort of randomly bouncing around. That's okay, the lag has gone and we can continue racing. Hippie back in 12th place, just punch along doing his thing, getting used to everything. He looks nice and solid back there. Interesting to see how he goes in race 2, because of course it is going to be a reverse order. And it means that people like Hippie, Heed and such up the back will get the opportunity to start much further up the front. And believe it or not, track position on a track like this, where it is very, very difficult to overtake, although you did see Moldovich there slingshot himself up the inside of Piosko, managed to not run wide, so very good there. These 3 battling it out, 7th, 8th and 9th. And then 10th, 11th, and Hippie just sort of starting to catch up there in 12th place. So we've got battles throughout the pack, which is exactly what you want to see. But as we continue on with this battle, you can see Piosko's car just looking a little bit second-hand there. I think we've all had a little bit of rubbing, and that's one of the advantages of these online lobbies versus your sort of daily sport mode. If you can get a good, clean group of racers that, you know, are happy to run into each other in terms of a little bit of rubbing. Rubbing is racing, but without any super aggressive behaviour, no spinning, no, basically just no driving like a douche. And what you can end up is a really fun race with no penalties on. So no one's getting penalties. No one's really disadvantaging each other. They're just little rubs up the inside, which I think is okay. Yeah, you see that in real life a little bit. There you go. There's a little bit of slight contact there between Nielsen and Piosko. Bit of a rub, but again, no hard feelings there. Everything turned out fine. So that sort of thing is okay, and it is somewhat refreshing to be able to see a good close battle fought out like this with the cars touching, a little bit of rubbing, but no bad contact, no penalties paid, and no one just slamming into each other. That's exactly what we don't want, and the reality is you always run the risk when you have open lobbies like this that you could run into problems with people just ramming people off the road and doing all the rest, and if you've got the penalties turned off, then they're going to get away with it. And it makes it very, very difficult. You can, of course, you can always ban people from joining the next round, but that doesn't sort of save people's race. Once the damage is done, it's done. So it was really, really refreshing, and it's a big congratulations to everyone that joined the lobby. In fact, yeah, every single person that joined the lobby raced really, really well. And even if they weren't too competitive or getting lapped or whatever, everyone moved out of the way. Just no one really carried on like an idiot, and that's exactly what you want to see. It was just good, clean racing throughout the field, and that's sort of what we're seeing here. And as we approach lap 15, we've got a couple of battles still going, which is always nice. We've got the two back that we were just watching before, third, fourth, and fifth here, still keeping together as a bit of a group. And the question is, can I and slash this whole pack do anything about Skater, who is up in second? Looks like the gap has just come back a little bit. Actually had some, well, Willie had some consistent lap times here as well. We both did. You can see we're comfortably just sitting in the 101s at the moment, which is not too bad when you think we've got a decent load of fuel on. We've got tyres that have done a few laps and that sort of thing. So to sort of be holding 101 lap times is actually not too bad. Pole laps, the quicker pole laps were only really just in the 1 minutes. So no 59s there in the qualifying. Which means that, yeah, to do a 101.0, you can see there, which was Willie's fastest lap. That is actually quite a red hot lap. And yeah, but as we flick forward to Speedy Chicken, it's actually, sorry, Speedy Chicken's time I was looking at there. The camera flicked while I was looking at the times. But the 101.0 from Speedy Chicken is a very, very good lap time, given that this is mid-race. But he's just doing it easy. He is just doing it easy. I don't know if he was just managing the gap, not pushing too hard. I suspect he probably was, whether or not he could have gone faster. But he's done a 1 minute .8 back there on lap 11 out of the pits. And it hasn't got a whole lot worse for him. 101 followed by 101. He just keeps pumping them out. The consistency is there. He's just done a 101.7. And that's all you've got to do. If you can get to the front, you can get away from any traffic. Keep good, consistent lap times. Just keep punching in those low, very metronomic times from Speedy, if you will. And it served him well. He's disappearing. But what you can see for Skater, and probably his growing concern at this point, he's just done a couple of 102s, and don't worry about that, that was lag. It looked for a second like he was going to be spraying wide and slamming into the wall, but he wasn't. That was just lag. And as you can see, I'm just starting to gain a little bit on him. His advantage is slipping slightly. Now, whether or not that's because Skater perhaps isn't as good on worn tyres, I don't know, but I've just found a little bit of form here myself. You can see Willie, we're on board with Willie now. We're looking at his lap times on the right-hand side. He's done a 102.3 that last lap, and it's actually just cost him a little bit of time. And he's given up sort of that second 1.2 seconds back to me, back from myself. And I'm starting to catch Skater, so we will see how we go. But we'll work our way back through the field and just see how everyone is going. Beepar there hanging on to the back of Willie, so keeping this fight for the top three alive at the moment. We'll go back to DJ Brain, bit of a quiet section of the race for him at the moment. He does have a bit of a gap back from Beepar. He's a fair bit behind, but he's also quite a bit in front of Nielsen, so A lonely old race for DJ Brain, but doing a solid job, and that's all he's got to do at this point. Nielsen as well, he's got fairly close company with Piosco, but they have managed to pull away from the rest of the pack as we come back to Ryan in 9th and Mojo in 10th behind again. Just trying to keep it together, and but it's just separated. This is back where that raging battle was a little bit earlier in the race, but things have just calmed down just a little bit. And yeah, putting in a solid effort for a top 10 there from Ryan and Mojo. Whether or not Mojo can hunt down, I suspect we're in sort of this will be the penultimate lap here on lap 18, I suspect. So as we move down, Moldovic and Risky Devil keeping it together, and not a whole lot in front of Staniel. I know Moldovic has had a bit of a rough race. We saw him spin early on in the race, and I don't believe that was his only issue. I think he might have even opted for harder compound tyres, if I'm not mistaken here. It's a bit hard to tell or remember, but nonetheless, Staniel and Hippie is still there in 14th and starting to look a bit racier, and in fact I think he might have dropped a spot from last time we checked in on him, so that bodes well for the starting position of race 2. As I say, it is going to be a reverse order grid. Beatty Chicken enters the back straight for the final time for race 1, and he's going to continue on with what looks to be a pretty commanding little win. We'll see if he can repeat it from race 2. We'll be starting from dead last, as you can imagine. Comfortable. You can see I did go right up to the back of Skater. I tried everything. I actually got a much better run out of the final turn. Swung it out wide to get across, but unfortunately I was not able to do it. The battle is just as close between Beepar and Willie behind, and in fact they crossed the line almost at exactly the same time. The gap was very, very marginal. Beepar did manage to take out 4th position, but very close between those two, and just parading around together. So good race from those two. And as we come back, the train will cross the line. DJ Brain, we've got Nielsen and Piosco. They finished a little bit closer together, so Piosco pushing hard towards the end. We got Ryan and Mojo coming 9th and 10th, and that was to round out the top 10. Moldovic in 11th, pulled away a little bit from Risky Devil. Hippie Head actually managed to snatch 13th. No, he didn't. Staniel got him back on the line. There you go. So right on the finish line, Staniel's just managed to get the better drive out of the final corner. We've got B Cotton back in 15th, who was just going about his business, doing a good thing, driving quite well, and Clokey finishing in the most dramatic of ways with a big spin on the final turn there. But look, congratulations to all the competitors. It was a very, very good race. I hope you did enjoy watching it, and I look forward to talking to you all next time. But for now, it's goodbye.